You are alive?
Even on
Wonderful. Another free
holidays
flowing
we are
Saturday.
on.
Even on holiday.
Even
Man,
on
we are so much
holidays we
in
are
the grind
on,
that I
man.
don't realize the holidays.
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't
Hata
even
mimi,
realize. I only, Mm.
you didn't did you travel? You didn't do this travel up country, Nini?
Man, you're on the grind, Bona. You are chasing this elusive shilling. Huh?
Mm.
I think we are more. I think in hali ya kuwa more enlightened to pursuing greatness because I remember growing up where we used to live. We used to travel Sana San on August, but
Mhm.
the rest of the folks, my neighbor, Napata Easter, they have traveled over Christmas and whatnot. And nobody is saying that, hey, listen, I need to start a business. Somebody's just accumulating his savings in preparation for a holiday, which I would find to be quite weird because if it's a holiday, it should be part of your disposable income. I know somebody who goes for holidays in January. This motherfucker makes his
Mhm.
bookings on 2nd of January.
Yeah.
After
When people are going back to work.
Punies have congregated at the airports and the bus stations
Yeah.
and all that
Yeah.
noise. In fact, he does his on 5th. When you are checking in back to work, is when he goes for his holiday. Tells
Yeah.
you how somebody is really ahead of the game.
Yeah.
When the rest of us are trying to, the boss is very strict this year. By 5th, you have to be in the office. Not really. Me by 5th, I'm in Comoros.
That's true. If you look at, I've come to realize sometimes it's good to operate your life the
Mm,
opposite of what the masses are doing. So if all the masses are
mm,
talking of, let's do holiday, what are your plans for
mm,
Christmas? What are your plans for Easter? And they all take
mm,
the same route. Just see what
mm,
kind of disruptions happens over Christmas with the roads jammed. People are on the road for days sometimes because they've filled up because it's a hard mentality kind of a thinking. So
By the way,
you'd rather go
place
the
I've been
opposite.
seeing
You
on
go the opposite than what the masses are doing, and
on
that's
the
what
last
the most
three
enlightened people do.
on the last three Christmases, including the 2022 one, I
Mm.
was seeing a very huge queue of vehicles on roads to Western Nakuru. That never used to happen. What's going on? That never used to happen. Is it that more people have
It's
bought cars or what?
Yeah, yeah. I think part of it is that. So
I
there's more
never
cars
used
on
to
the
see
road.
that. I never queues of. In fact, majority of
Yeah, I think when we
somebody
were
who's like,
growing up, it wasn't that, and the roads were even smaller than what they are now.
I think one guy, I think part of he's a bus driver. He's saying this
Mm,
time
mm,
of the
mm.
last 3 years, it is most of the problems that on the highways are due to these small personal vehicles crowding the roads and bringing the Langata Road antiques to the highway, causing a
Exactly.
lot of problems.
Yeah.
People betting who will get to Nakuru first and
Mm.
what not. So this
A-
guy,
and the funny thing is, the authorities never seem to plan around this because the same problems that we had last year, they are
mm,
going to replicate the same problems or even make them worse rather than figuring out how the hell, because people are still
mm,
going to travel.
mm.
Is it putting more traffic police along that route? I know they eventually do, but they end up doing it more as a reactive affair than, and they should even
Unless
have more campaigns probably encouraging people to either travel a day or two before,
or
travel,
they
that
make
there
it
should be a way to regulate and control that.
something similar to that Panama Canal
Hmm.
where you have to book a slot and whatnot. So
Exactly.
if your vehicle is private,
Hmm.
You have to sort of book a slot
Mhm.
that you'll be on the highway on this day between this time and this time. So that happens for, let's say, between 20th December to 1st of January. In between,
Mm.
PSVs, those are common operators. Those guys are at work. We can't
Mm.
interfere with them.
Mm.
But a
Mm.
personal car, you have to book a slot, and to make it to discourage that travel, you even have to pay. You
Exactly.
pay for you are paying for, let's say you want to travel, maybe it's a Wednesday. You pay
Mm.
for the Wednesday slot, and you have to be on the road between this time and this time. If that time elapses, park your car. You'll have your Christmas festivities wherever you are going to be. Something like that to control that movement, because it's basically very logical. So you
This
make your
is
booking. You just make your booking. Let's say, where are you traveling? I'm traveling to such and such a place. Registration of the vehicle, number of occupants on the car,
yeah.
whatnot. And if possible, you can do some impromptu inspection of the vehicle before you launch. You have to pass somewhere. The vehicle has to be driven through some mobile checkpoint.
Mm.
You have to pass that one plus sobriety test for the drivers. Now you are good to go. You are expect you in the road between this and these hours. Kipatikana barabarani, sorry, kaa kando, ondoa jam. As in, we need to have this particular number of private cars on the highways at this particular time. That is the only way. And then you have to charge. So people will make noise. Let me remain at home. And
Exactly. They
you
can
have to.
actually set up like a mobile toll gate at some
Mm,
point,
mm,
and then put a fee.
mm.
Maybe the fee will be a good deterrent. Maybe charge like a
Yeah,
thousand bob
yeah.
for any private car that passes. They could
Mm,
even put it in such a way that if you happen to be in a private car and you're the only one,
mm.
then you suffer more because that
You pay
means
more.
yes,
You pay more
yes,
because why are you traveling alone? And you are the one causing. Imagine 50 cars causing a jam,
exactly.
each
You'd have
car with
taken
one
up
or two occupants.
exactly. So
Mm,
so it's there can be certain tactics I'm sure that they can do, but all the
mm,
same, this hard mentality that we all follow through. Holidays, as they say,
mm.
is for the poor and the employed. You know that.
Yeah, yeah. This guy was
Um,
saying that he
mm,
actually goes for his. He calls it switch off. He goes to switch off, makes
yes,
reservations for 5th of January.
yes.
Yeah. He stays. In fact, he's there for over 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. Relaxes.
Hmm.
Sharif Mustafa is here, our lone wolf audience. Thank you very much for
Yes,
showing up. Mm. So, Sharif was
and that's
discussing about this
yeah. We're
traveling with
just
private cars,
it's man.
and we were suggesting, you know, if you want to travel on the highway by a personal car, you have to make a booking to be on the road, and you are given a schedule, and then you have to pay a certain fee to be on the highway. Let's say just between 20th of December and, let's say, 2nd of January or 4th of January, between 20th of December and 4th of January, small cars, small vehicles on the highway, and there'll be checkpoints. Because the checkpoint is important, because there are people who live in small settlements around the highway. You cannot penalize them. But a vehicle that has come from far, there's a way of tracking it.
Yep.
The problem is that Kenyans start using panya routes. Yeah, like the
Yeah.
way during the curfew,
The
where
curfew
movement,
time. Yeah, I
inter-county
remember
movement
that.
was
Yeah.
restricted, people came up with all manner of weird routes
Mm.
to find their way to. But again, that issue of using a toll and booking your trip can be a good
Mm.
deterrent. But somebody can say, no, I'm not paying 2,000 shillings to drive to Kisumu. Okay,
Yes.
remain in Nairobi. Good for you. Mm. So that we can minimize this issue. And also is a very good money making opportunity. Someone can
It
come
is.
up with a premium bus company,
That's what I was
whereby
also thinking.
whereby to travel, number one, you have to pay, and you have to show proof of vehicle ownership. Are you a
mm,
car owner? Good, you have access to it. So maybe one person, one vehicle owner can vouch for maximum of four people. One
yes,
vehicle owner, four people. One vehicle. So you have Carlos. It has to be a world class, top of the line bus company that runs during the holidays only, and
exactly,
maybe even weekends, so that using that high end bus is cheaper than driving.
exactly.
Mm,
So if you're driving, so if the government thinks ahead,
mm,
um, these are some of the things that they would encourage people to do,
mm, mm,
where they would encourage them to one, use public means,
mm,
encourage any kind of a business person who
mm.
has the capacity either to hire a bus, hire a minibus. People
It
sometimes
has to
don't
be
want
top end, not the
top
usual.
end.
Mm,
Yes, there should be some, it's
mm.
like a differentiated service. So even encourage people to use the
Or
train, encourage
alternatively,
people to fly, even work with the
alternatively,
airlines to reduce their fees for that period of time.
or alternatively, you can take up advantage of facilities like the one at Embakasi, and you use
Yes.
what you call a vehicle loading railway wagon. You drive your car on top of a railway wagon and you are transported by rail, top of your car. Then you choose
Oh,
where to offload. You can be offloaded in Nakuru, Eldoret, wherever you want.
are those?
Yes.
So it's kind of like a a,
A
a, a
ferry,
land a land ferry
yes,
of
because they are there.
sorts.
There's one I think in UK. There's one in UK. There's one in India. Indians have one. They are called truck loaders, I think, if I may,
Mm,
if I can do
that's
a
a
quick.
good way. And when you do these things
That is
like
that is the
this,
idea I had
mm,
suggested to someone
yeah,
about this year, because um, truck companies were complaining about loss of business by SGR. Then I said,
mm,
why don't we have the SGR having a truck loading railway wagon? We have trucks being loaded on the train. They
hmm,
load at Miritini, offload at Syokimau, and continue. Now that
yeah,
means you are saving on wear and tear, you are
hmm,
saving on driver fatigue, and you are
yeah,
saving on whatever the SGR will charge you.
yeah,
It won't be so much, and you are saving time, because the SGR to get that truck from Miritini to Syokimau, that is 6 hours.
mm,
No truck can do 6 hours Mombasa, Nairobi. It's impossible.
yeah,
Eh,
yeah,
For a truck to do 6 hours, it has to be pushed very
yeah,
hard, break the
yeah.
laws,
That's true.
risk accidents, and consume so
Yeah,
much fuel. But when you load it on a
exactly.
truck, you are assured 6 hours.
That's guaranteed. That's guaranteed. The
You're
six
in,
hours
you're,
it
in
will be
fact,
there.
you can be offloading at Embakasi, because Syokimau is for passengers.
And I
So you
mean,
can. Mm,
the whole idea of trucking and rail is sort of they should work together because rail cannot
mm.
do the last mile. Typically, the
Yes.
train, the lorry or the truck will be the one doing the last mile.
Mm, mm,
So it shouldn't be seen as one is taking business from the other, but then it
mm,
should be looked at as a complementary kind of a service. You can load up more on a train than on a truck,
mm.
uh, and then the truck comes to pick that up and takes it to the final destination. So it's just figure. I think we just need to learn because we will not always question of just adding
Mm,
capacity of the road. Yes, that is there,
mm,
but it seems like this capacity only gets overconsumed at certain
mm,
periods of the year. That's when there's an overcapacity and a bottleneck in terms of the use of that. So it's just figuring out how do you effectively utilize that. As we've said, some kind of a queuing system, some kind of certain things to deter people from driving, some kind of incentive to allow more. If the typical number of buses that ply Nairobi Nakuru are 10, maybe for the time of
mm.
the holidays, you bring another 10 of the same, and discourage use of personal cars. And that way, I mean, the strategies are there. If these guys were to be um, creative enough and plan ahead of time, these things can
Instead
be
of prayer
avoided.
meetings.
And instead of prayer meeting, and
Instead of prayer meetings.
I wonder why people put themselves in this. I remember one time we were driving to Kisumu for a wedding for one of my relatives, and that Nakuru, mostly around that Gilgil area, is where it's known to be always full. And of course, they're also building the Wayaki way. So we were encouraged, one, leave early. We did. We left early. I think we left Nairobi at about 5 a.m., 5:30. Um, and somebody had advised us, instead of using the Nakuru way, to use the Narok option. But we thought because we are early, we might as well use the usual Nakuru route. Hey, getting to Nakuru, man, it was chock a block. People were getting off the road. They were driving all the way across to the railway lines. Some got stuck on the railway as they were trying to get their car over. They got stuck on the railway line.
What was the
And I
time?
remember at that point, that I think that was in the morning. I think we were getting there like from Nairobi. So if we left at 5:30, maybe about 2 or so hours, must have been about
7:38.
8
Mm.
a.m.
Yeah, you can
I remember at that
check
point,
your WhatsApp.
yeah, I told my brother, you know what? Let's make a
Mm,
quick decision at this point, because
mm, mm,
if we don't, then we are gonna find ourselves stuck at this very very space for long, like everyone. And I told him, let's not follow what everyone is doing. What everyone is doing is trying to
mm,
overlap. What everyone is
mm,
doing is trying to get off the main road, going to the dirt road, going across the railway, and going parallel to the main road. And we immediately did a turnabout and
mm,
went back. Even though it cost us a few more minutes, it was the
mm,
best route to take, because all through from there, it
mm,
was free flowing all through. You see, even these are other strategies. Try and sort of reduce the load on one road and put others on another road. So if these policemen were well coordinated, they would know at a certain
mm.
point they'll probably put a policeman and start encouraging cars to use alternative routes to avoid this. I mean, this is ridiculous. Oh yeah, now I see the. Let me share this. So this is the truck loading rail service that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And man, solutions are with us.
In fact, with that one is a good opportunity to make money because let's say for car owners,
Yes,
you drive on top of the train. Then
yes,
we'll have a couple of two three coaches where there's a
yes,
restaurant, there's a toilets and whatnot.
exactly.
So even let's say you are using what do I call it, the meter gauge from Nairobi to
Mm,
Kisumu. As much
yes,
as it is slow, it will be a
mm,
party atmosphere. Your vehicles are safe in the wagons, the flatbeds behind you, and you're
yes,
having a party in the coaches. We can even you can even make it have a club inside there, a hotel and a club, sleeping quarters, toilets.
yes.
Yeah, you're good to go, and you are
Let,
making money.
yeah, let's play this. We see. It's this. I didn't
And
know
it's
about
simple.
this.
There's
It's such a
no,
simple.
it's just a
And
ramp.
I
It's
even
just a
think
ramp.
you can do for like small cars.
Yeah,
Somebody could likely put a double decker,
yeah.
just like the trains. That even trucks do that when they have those
Mm,
long trucks that
mm,
carry vehicles. You can
mm,
have a double decker. So
mm.
put your car up on. So how many cars you can imagine are going to be carried on there?
That's the loading process now.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
Oh, so there's a ramp.
Yeah, there's a ramp behind. You see that triangle there? That's the ramp.
I see. I see.
Yeah, that's
I
the
see.
ramp there. Mm. So what you do for the guys, they drive up. So you do your mathematics. You are
Mm.
assuming uh, 50 carloads, and vehicles are lighter, are very light. Then you
Mm.
put uh, 4 or 5 coaches up ahead because you don't want
Yes.
people to sit in the car just like that. In that, and you make it fun. Those coaches made look like restaurants. There's a clubhouse. There's a sightseeing car. You name it. And the journey looks fantastic. People get to Kisumu because with the train, there's Kisumu, Eldoret, there's Bungoma, there's Malaba.
And people, it
It's a
actually
wrap.
is a very good way because, you know, if
Mm,
people will probably say if you have to use public transport, and they
mm,
want to move around in their vehicles,
mm,
how can they
mm.
do that while they are still while they are still
Cooped up
while
in
they
their
are
cars.
yeah, with no without having their car. So this one you're telling them,
Mm,
yes, you get the convenience of train, which will give you certainty of your arrival time,
mm,
and two, you'll have also the privilege to still use your car for your typical movements while you're
mm.
in the destination. So
Yeah.
you sort of have the best of the two worlds. So you've got the
Ah,
convenience. You don't have to use taxis or end up hiring a
no.
car when you get to the other side. It's oh man, this I didn't know about this actually. I don't know
Mm.
if I've
It's
ever
been there.
seen it in Kenya. As it is it utilized in Kenya or not?
In Kenya, they only use it when they are transporting vehicles which are off, like a vehicle which is being just transported for use, but
Mm,
not somebody is traveling with the vehicle. No.
yeah,
So you can actually declutter the highways in a spectacular manner. Imagine
exactly.
trucks loading at Meritin. You can number one fuel use by the trucks because for the vehicles, those trucks slowing down and speeding up on the highway, trying to overtake. So that driver fatigue, wear and tear on the engine, wear and tear on
Exactly.
the tires, gone.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
you reduce the chances of accidents, of losses,
So,
because if it's a car, if it's a truck that it definitely is carrying something of value, it's transporting
mm,
some
mm,
goods, so
mm,
that means those goods don't get wasted.
mm,
If for some reason you end up having an accident, or even now it
mm,
seems like the what Kenyans are doing, whenever a
mm.
truck falls, it becomes another way for them to start stealing.
In fact, you can make it so simplistic. You can make it. I don't know how these our MGR trains are operating.
Mm,
There's a certain system. It's called a gauge changer. It
mhm.
changes what happens. No, the difference between SGR and MGR is
Yeah.
the width between the rails. So
Yes.
for MGR, since 1 meter is 1 meter wide,
Hmm.
SGR is 1.45. So
It's
there's
one
a
point.
six,
Mm.
so there's a system for causing a transition from SGR to MGR and back. So the train will just slow down, pass through a platform, and it is swapped. Something happens to the wheels. I think I had it.
So
It's
the wheels are either brought closer or something,
Yeah, the wheels are brought closer. The
or either
don't
closer
know.
or wider, depending on
Uh,
what it is transitioning to. I mean, I
uh,
remember there were even the suggestions of if SGR provides. Why did we have to change? What's the difference in terms of? I mean, regardless of the size, does is standard SGR sort of the new size of
no,
gauge of railways,
carrying
or
carrying capacity of SGR is higher
when you
because
have this SGR,
because the MGR it's
Mm,
narrow. You can't
yes.
pile things properly. But with
Ah,
SGR, you are wider.
because you have the
You are
base to support
uh,
you.
best support, and now you can move faster.
You
You can
can
now
move
move. So
faster.
it's actually for loading purposes.
Ah, and I mean, initially, you
And what they
remember they
could
were
do, they
saying,
could just, because of this politics and our shenanigans, they
yeah,
could just take the old line, You lift
and
it up.
expand it. Yeah.
You see this thing that is called a sleeper, the one that
Yes.
cuts across. Then the
Okay.
current sleep, they use a sleeper that is, they should use a sleeper that is 1.8 meters.
Yeah.
So they lift the old one, put the
Mhm.
1.8 meter, and bolt it back. So you have swapped from MGR to SGR on the same line. In fact, there's a certain magazine for UK. It was some UK transport economy magazine. They said the
Mm.
cost of doing that on the existing rail network would be uh, 16. It will cost 160 million shillings.
Mhm.
What is our current 350 what billion?
Mhm.
Or what, how much did you spend? 350
Man, I
billion.
don't even know.
Yeah, I think it's 350 billion Kenya shillings for the current
Yes.
SGR.
Yes.
But for
Yes.
that one, swapping, just lifting and putting back, that will take you 160 million shillings for the entire railway network. But
Wow.
now that one has no kickbacks. There's no paying for land. Uh, there's no one because you are dealing with Kenya railway property. So
Mm.
there's no compensation for anyone.
Man, there's a lot. It's just us being creative enough. I even see this idea that Mustafa Sharif has put there. Actually, I remember experiencing it one time. I was in the US, and
Mm,
they have like all these like 6 lanes highways, or all these big highways, and there's a special lane
mm,
provided for anyone carrying more than at least where you're ride sharing on your personal car. So if you've carried a person on
mm,
your either on the co-driver side or wherever, you can use the special lane, which is high speed.
mm,
You
mm,
know, I mean, these are strategies. If Kenya, if we were serious to sort of incentivize people to travel with at least one or more person, can be applied on Thika Highway, on the Mombasa Rail Highway. These are things that can be done to reduce on people. And I still don't understand why the government has not decided to reduce on the toll fees for the expressway. Because man, you see an empty road and then see everyone piling up on the old highway. If they could reduce that toll fee to probably something like 150, I bet there'll be more people to use that road, and you end up balancing, which will also help you to fast
Someone,
track even with
someone
your
said,
payment.
someone said,
Mm,
someone said the expressway was
mhm.
only built for rich people. It was nothing to do with improving the
Yeah, I
economy. No, it
remember.
was just for rich people to go
Mm,
and if you want to move quickly. So there was nothing to do with their national well-being or goodwill for the nothing. It's like saying going to Serena White and tell them reduce the cost of your facility so that more people can come in.
yeah, yeah. No,
Actually, if that thing
they have
was
their
mentioned,
clientele, eh?
yeah, that it had its. That's why it's called a private public partnerships or whatever the name they use.
They
So
use its public-private partnership
that
(PPP).
aspect of private is what
Mm,
brings it its exclusivity. Because if it is fully government, the government will want more people to use it, more people to get to town and do their things. But since it's a private thing,
exactly,
it's a club. Hiyo itabidi tu ujipange bro.
man.
Even you can see before it was
It's
built,
it's
people
it's a
could cross over. Now, in fact, I was in a matatu and I was asking now if you want to go
mm,
to like KRA Mombasa Road and you are in a matatu, you'll have to
mhm,
walk very far,
mhm.
really far. So this construction never really considered the ordinary mwananchi. Yeah, because I was asking someone now if you don't have a car, you are alighting around there, you want to go to KRA or those establishments, you'll have to alight from the matatu like 10 minutes past that stage, and 10
Hmm.
minutes of travel, that's quite far.
Yeah.
Then you cross over for some access, then you walk back. Because at that point,
No,
there's no matatu that is going to stop for you. They'll charge you the normal cost of going to the end of the destination. So you'll
it's
have to
an
trek.
expressway. It's an expressway. I mean, part of
Wherever.
it, people will have to change their way of thinking and way of doing things. You
Mm,
can't operate. I remember even when Thika, the Thika Highway was launched, people
mm,
realized that if you miss a particular exit, then you might find yourself
you're
driving
gone.
all the way to Thika to then do a turnabout. So,
Mm.
and I mean, that's how you design these expressways. You don't want, people getting off and stopping at certain points, because then again that reduces the speed of other vehicles, and
Mm.
that's the cause of the bottleneck. They want you, when you decide to move, you're moving, and where you get off, it will be another destination.
And then
So
also,
it's,
we are,
it's
I think,
part of it is that.
we are doing a lot of copy pasting in some of these projects,
Hmm.
because uh, in those different developed world, owning a car is no big deal.
Yes.
Many people own cars because they are easy to acquire. The financing deals are
Mm,
easy. You can
mm,
actually own a car from a payslip.
mm,
As long as you have good flow, you can own a car, any kind of car, because
mm.
those brand new cars are damn expensive.
Exactly.
Because a vehicle, like I was looking at USA prices for cars, a small car like this is called some Chevrolet, very small
Hmm.
car,
Mm.
costing around $15,000. It's around 1.8 M, brand new.
Wow.
1.8
Brand new.
M in Kenya, that's a second-hand import. That's a very impressive vehicle.
Mm,
So in Kenya, car ownership is a bit tricky. So
mm.
majority of people use public means. So the
Yeah.
best way is to come up with a system that makes public means so stress-free.
Affordable.
It minimizes inconvenience to a point
Yeah.
where somebody considers parking his car and using the commute on Monday to Friday. The day you'll see somebody parking his car, not because of he's unable to buy fuel, because the public means is so working so well, that
Yeah.
will tell you that now you've hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
Now,
Personally, I love trains, and
mm,
even where I used to live in Nairobi,
mm.
Timara Daima,
Yeah, there's a
I used
train there. The
I used
River
to opt to
Kitengela,
use,
Syokimau.
yeah, I used to opt to use the train.
Mm,
So Monday morning, I would always drive with my car to town,
mm, mm,
and I would use it during the day. You're
mm,
moving around, meeting customers, going to
mm,
client sites.
mm,
But in the evening, I'll leave it packed at the office. Then I would
mm,
walk to the train station and use
mm,
it. Then the following morning, I'll be waking up, taking the train. It's
mm.
it's it's, it's very stress-free kind of travel. You'd
Yeah, in
rather
fact,
sit in
uh,
the train, maybe read, listen to a podcast. Now you don't even need to engage yourself driving. It's a more stress-free kind of, and you're certain. Arrive there at a certain time, and boom, you're on, and you'll be at home, guaranteed at a particular set of time.
like
No fear.
whenever I was traveling from Western back to Athi River, I would
Mm.
always look for the earliest bus from Busia so that I
Mm.
don't miss the train,
Yes.
because the train is from, I think, 5:45 is the Athi River Lukenya train. Because when you miss it, now it is beba 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 beba. Oh, and you're like, man, once you
Man,
are used to that train, a matatu is a headache.
no, it is. And
And
I
then what
guess.
I'm saying, a
Mhm.
matatu, these people, I don't know the people who own these circles. I don't know where they grew up. The matatu they can actually make these minibuses to be so convenient that
And
somebody
comfortable.
can park their car. First off,
Yeah.
the kind of people they employ, the
Yeah.
kind of vehicles they are using,
Yeah.
it's madness. It's complete, in the way uh, the system of operation, whereby somebody's paycheck is based on how much money he brings in. for the day. So you know that vehicle is going to be driven like Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton were racing for the Formula One championship. Pure madness. So
Actually,
it yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
one of the solutions to do, and I think which has impacted Kenya, there are two things.
Mm,
Number one, of course, just the size of sort of your Nissan Matatu, which
mm,
has a capacity of about 14 people.
mm,
I mean, there was already plan to phase those out completely and replace
mm,
them with the minibuses. So that's one. Two, when you talk of particularly city transportation,
mm.
it's best if that is run and managed by the city,
Yes.
because what the city is trying to do is just facilitate the movement of people,
Mm,
and it should not be necessarily a profit affair. It should at least, if at the very most, break even to facilitate payment of the drivers and maintenance of those cars. Um, so one, you're able to have standard pricing across the board. Two,
mm,
you're able to set, the a good amount, set the standard of the capacity of the vehicles.
mm.
uh, Matatu culture, and I see this everywhere. I mean, one of the things that plagues us in Nairobi is just the matatu culture that causes so much disorganization and makes the city so much chaotic. And I realized, even if you go to places like South Africa, where they have a similar thing,
They are called
maybe
panel
there,
goods.
yes, there they might be a
Mm.
bit better in terms of how they have just structured their city and organized it, but still, those
They are called
taxis
taxis.
come.
Taxis.
Yes, they call them taxis. They are also very much chaotic. There's
And
just
theirs are
something
more
about
violent.
those
They are gunfights there. Gunfights
exactly
are. Mm.
those gunfights with those taxi operators and the police. I mean, this particularly when you have this private owned that create cartels that, in a sense, end up creating
Funny enough,
crime,
the
causes
NTSA
this. Yeah.
NTSA suggested to these circles because the biggest headache is that system. They told them these circles, why don't you have a maximum number of vehicles per circle? Maximum when a certain when you have this number of vehicles in the circle, you can't take any more. But the
Mm,
circle guys refused because the more vehicles join in,
mm,
the more money they get because there's a fee you pay for using the circle.
mm. I see. Yeah. There's
Yeah,
what is it? The sign up fee. Their
kind of
goodwill
fee
or
or
whichever
something.
they. Yeah.
Yeah, you find like some a circle that maybe the owners have that minimum 30,
Mm,
but it has been pushed to 150. So
mm,
the 120 is money for the circle owners. So
mm,
it creates a serious. That's why I was these fleet owners. I think they never went to school or the education system is a bit weird
mm,
because the fleet utilization is poor. 11
mm.
o'clock, you find 40 vehicles parked by the roadside because
Yes.
it's
Yes.
off peak.
Yes.
Off peak. They are because it's off peak. The vehicle that should be running. That's because the fleet, the circle is bloated. If they said maximum number of, in fact, maximum number of circles per route with the
Mm,
maximum number of vehicles, so that you can cover the vehicles are running throughout and there's no issue of sitting in a vehicle waiting for it to get full. Why? Because the vehicles are too many at that particular point and not very many people are traveling. That's why you have to
mm,
sit for like 45 minutes waiting
mm,
for the vehicle to be full because there are too many. You see that line of vehicles waiting for people, it looks crazy. And they were given this suggestion, opting in they were given not even maximum number of vehicles per circle, optimum number, so that maybe if you are going if off peak, you can just put 5 vehicles instead of having 20, 30 vehicles parked by the roadside. Then in the evening, it is now war. Raw is war, WWE.
and they
And
hike
then,
they hike they hike prices at will. It's a
yeah,
there's a
because now the hike is
shortage.
because to cater for those vehicles which had parked.
Yeah.
Because if
I
you've been
see.
carrying
Yes.
passengers the whole
Exactly.
day, why are you
Yeah.
hiking?
Yeah.
You're not hiking. It's like going to a supermarket, you're telling you that in the evening we are hiking because during the day we didn't buy anything.
And I
Nonsense.
wonder how the city can begin. It's a tough thing
No, we went
to
to,
change
no,
that,
see,
because there'll be
we,
there'll be quite a fight with this
for
matatu owners.
starters, we went wrong from the word go.
Yes.
Secondly, um, why do you have so many people in the city? Because you're not
Yeah.
manufacturing. These are just symptoms.
That's true.
We are not manufacturing, so everybody is crowded there. Fundi wa simu, fundi wa viatu, fundi wa saa, then the stalls, phone, 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 phone. Then next,
Exactly.
clothes,
Exactly.
clothes, clothes. Then cosmetics, cosmetic. We normally see them at Moi Avenue or Tomboya Street. Those ladies, kuja tukupake sijui nini, kuja tukusonge nywele, kuja. That is what it's called disguised unemployment.
Mm.
Hmm. That is why, as long as you're not manufacturing, you're in deep shit. Those those imported cosmetics, they can be made in outskirts like Limuru. You can have in
Mm.
Limuru, you have a factory for cosmetics, and
Mm.
such that these phones that you are selling should have an assembly point at Sagana. That gentleman who's manufacturing the cables, you
Mm.
can have a factory there employing 400 people. So if you have like eight, say 10 factories in the outskirts of Nairobi,
Mm.
each factory employing 300 people. 300 times 10, that is 3,000.
And they don't even necessarily need to be at the outskirts. If the government were to say, today
Mm,
we are building, let's say the Samsung assembly point will be in
mm,
Mombasa or
mm,
Kisumu or Nakuru
mm,
or Eldoret, whichever city they pick,
mm.
people will follow the
We'll
jobs.
follow the jobs.
People will follow the jobs. People
So
here, there's a
what will be
big
what will
employment. Yeah,
what will be left in Nairobi will be people working in banks,
exactly.
these administration jobs,
Mm.
restaurants, and whatnot. This crowding won't sit.
Yeah,
And
make
in fact,
Nairobi more of a financial center,
yes, a
services
financial hub.
kind
Yeah.
of a city. That's
It
it.
make in fact now it will play very well into Nairobi being
Yes,
the go-to place for conferences because the
exactly.
spaces are open. People are no longer engaged in these funny activities. You find places, a group of people standing on the street, you don't know what they are doing.
I always wonder when you go to downtown Nairobi and then see people seated, like
Yeah.
around that Hilton area,
Yeah.
and you
Or
wonder,
Kencom, that opposite Kencom.
yes,
I
these are
can sit
just,
at home if whatever I've tried to do is not adding up. Let me sit at home with my internet. Maybe something will pop up, but when you are there, you are compounding your misery because you'll sit with other miserable people who will tell you, mi sijakula hata kitu leo asubuhi bwana. Mazee, kwanza tutafika vipi nyumbani leo? Now you are not thinking, you are just going into survival mode, mental
and
torture.
and as we were saying last week, it doesn't have to even be the big factories like a
No.
Samsung or whatever. We are saying you can encourage some of these cottage industries. Start
Mm,
looking. Let's identify which are
mm,
some of our top
mm,
consumables that we use. If it is
mm.
things like toilet papers, if it is things like toothpicks, if it is
And you
things
can
like
do it,
USBs.
leave alone in the counties. Even
Yes,
Utani, let's say you are in Huruma area, or is it called Huruma
yes,
ward? What is normally consumed every day at great quantities? Put that cottage factory there. Put that cottage if it
yeah.
is something like what tissue paper, put it there. If it is tomato sauce, put it there. Shoe polish, name it. People stop moving. They'll go to work in those factories. Simple as that.
I,
If
you
there
know,
are things that we
I,
consume every single day, toothpaste, tissue paper, tea leaves, and whatnot. Put a tea leaf, a small, is not, you're not just, you're not, okay, you're not manufacturing tea leaves. You're setting up a tea packing and bagging factory.
Yeah.
which can occupy one, two, at most. I've been to one in Mombasa,
Mm.
at most 4 rooms, and that it had around because it is largely semi-automatic. That small outfit had
Mm.
50 people. Now uko mtaani, 50 people are no longer going to town. That is one matatu load and a half.
Exactly.
Now let's
And
have
and
80
they
of
have
them.
and they have a sustainable livelihood of sorts.
Exactly.
Now that they are producing something that is required
Mm,
in country, if there are any
mm, mm.
surpluses, can be
Yes.
exported.
Mm.
Um, I mean,
You
I
just
wonder
look at
if
what normally happens hapo mtaani that people have to go to town to get. Put it there. Simple
the
as that.
government really thinks long term. I wonder if, because as you're saying, we can identify the symptoms of what Nairobi is suffering. All this
Mm,
congestion, all
mm,
these traffic jams. It's not just a question of we don't have the capacity of roads. I
mm,
mean, if you think of cities like London, that still, these are old cities, and they have still maintained sort of like their small type of roads.
mm,
But it's a city that you wouldn't find some kind of a grounding type traffic jam that we have in Kenya. How
mm.
does a city organize itself to ensure there's that efficient movement of people and
And then
cars
also,
in
and
and
then
out of
also,
the city?
and then also the setup. Um, I've always said to myself, I've never shared it with anyone. I believe in the what you call the supermarket setup. When you build a city and set it like a supermarket, people can get in and out very quickly.
Hmm.
So that the streets are like aisles. If you want banks, all banks in one lane.
Hmm.
If you want restaurants, all of them one lane. If you want, you'll have one center like a mall, one or two malls where everything is contained there. Like
Hmm.
small businesses, we'll put them in one nice premise so that they're not scattered all over. All right. So that you know when you're getting into town, this lane will get me here. This lane will get me here. And now the transport services will know how to move. Because if, let's say, you are going banking, now the bus will know where to alert in that particular lane where the banks are located. We spend so much time walking. You've landed at railways. Then you have to go the way to Jivanji. Wow. Hey, hey, hey. So when you get to the city center, a large chunk of the time is found walking within the city center to get to where you want to go. Then again, our processes are slow. You get there, hey, habari ya masiku bwana. Yes, you, yeah, blah blah. A process that should take you 30 minutes, you'll blow away 4 hours.
I mean, you can even in the middle of the city, they could put some of those light rails. So that could
Yes.
help people efficiently move.
Mm,
These guys that are called the NMS guys that came
mm,
in,
mm.
uh, at the later part of, when did they come in? I think they must have come in around late 2019 into 2020.
When
They said it,
When Sonko was
yes,
signing himself out.
just the short term those guys were there, they were able to make fundamental changes
Mm.
and we can all see
Are
it.
they the ones behind the Green Park idea?
They are the ones behind the Green Park bus station, and not just that. They had already even started making changes to even the current rail system, adding more bus stops, or rather railway stations, so that
Mm,
now they can encourage people to use the train. And then they even introduced a
mm.
last mile option. I remember the last time I was using them, I was able to get off the train, get onto a bus, and
Yeah, these
because
buses are there. There are four Yutongs and another Isuzus. They are normally parked outside the Nairobi railway station, NCC,
yes,
and
they're
it's
the
as
ones
if
who introduced.
this one is going to Yaya Center, this one is going to where?
Exactly. And I used to use that one that is going US because my place was around that area.
Mm,
I think they had introduced one going to Westlands, one
mm,
going to, And I remember because we used to have a lot of, I used to have friends every time they would get off the bus, off
Mm,
the train, would have
mm,
to walk all the way in Paka, what's that, where the Westlands bus is, Odeon area, that kind of a
mm,
place, to then
mm,
take a bus or a matatu that would take them to ST.
mm.
Now it was just so possible to get off the train, get outside, and you find a bus there, and it takes you all the way to your off, or rather closer to your office.
Is it
Uh,
combined with the fare for the train, or there's something extra you pay?
I think they still add extra fee. I know in
Okay.
some places, but all
Mm.
the same, the convenience, because
Convenience,
the
convenience.
convenience
Mm.
was, I think people didn't have an issue with the price. But again, because those buses are owned by the railway station, they
Subsidized.
could have easily looked at a package that, once you
Package deal,
pay,
because
you get.
you are your customers.
Yes, they're your customers.
Mm.
Already they are going to be your customers. They'll jump on that train, just use the same ticket
Mm.
to use to jump onto the bus and go to either
Mm.
community,
Mm.
Upper Hill, Westlands, and I don't know the other spots. But this NMS guys made a difference, and they were fast in their implementation. They were not caught up in the. I mean, I'm
Politics.
not. I honestly, I'm not seeing much difference with this guy called Sakaja. I don't think
Mm.
he's gonna bring much of a difference. I thought, him being so articulate, but he seems to be, as I always call him, a more cleaned
Articulation.
up, cleaned up Sonko than anything.
We've had a lot of articulation. We've had
Yeah,
a lot of articulation, not even its implementation. But they have sent you
it's
a link for
implementation.
that train, for the gauge changing train. It's fantastic. It can
Ah, let
move
me.
from SGR to MGR, easy peasy.
Okay, let me even play it right now. And you see, this is the thing. Why can't we not? It seems like when you talk of solutions, we've been programmed to always think we always have to solicit solutions outside of ourselves. I don't know why we can't come up with our own kind of let me play it
We
because
are really selling ourselves short. We are
we
really
have
selling ourselves.
educated, smart people. We
Mm,
could decide how we can organize some things.
mm.
But I don't know. We've been sold this idea of you have to benchmark. You always have to look outside, mostly to the Western societies, to think of a solution. And I'm not saying you can't find solution from there. It's just I think so we also do have our own creative ways of
So,
resolving some
what's the purpose of all this education?
exactly.
That clip I shared, our education system, you are learning about a grasshopper and how
Oh,
many
I
legs
see.
a cockroach has and what not. Now that is switching to SGR.
Just look at that. It looked like a very
While
easy kind of an
while
hydraulic kind
in
of a
motion,
system.
while in motion.
Man, let's play that again. So it's moving
What is
from
so difficult in that?
MGR to an SGR.
Uh,
So it's
that
a
is
smaller one
MGR.
than MGR,
Then
starting to
it
change.
will widen. Now
It
that is
widens.
SGR. No downtime, no nothing.
Man, I like that. I like that. What are our engineers doing, man? They should be coming up with these solutions.
PhD, Institute of Kenya Certified Engineering. Oh, this.
Yes, yes.
And that guy was saying, I think he was a Malawian. PhD in what? You have never come up with a single drug. You've never
Yes.
come up with any medicine in your life. So what is this PhD for?
Is our education sort of watered down or what is it? Because
No,
even
we are based in cramming.
we
Cramming.
just
I speak something, then
regurgitate
I
stuff.
come. We can even our so-called these theses that we keep on writing, but then our theses are written in Nairobi, in River Road. See, the thesis in Anikonga River Road, I know someone who writes them.
Uh,
You give them a topic and it is covered for you, plain and simple. And some things are too elementary. Something as simple as ensuring that the city does not flood during weather. Do you need a PhD? Hmm? And the flooding is not because of too much rain, it's because parts of the drainage is not being taken care of.
yeah, I mean, these are
So it's
some,
not really education, it's just attitude.
yeah.
Yeah, just attitude. Purely attitude. Because I was talking to someone and we were discussing about if you're to operate within Nairobi for 20 years, I think you'll get some funny diseases because of the stress level, the noise, the smoke. You won't last. Something weird will happen to you.
Mm,
And when people get sick like that,
yeah.
that affects your labor force.
Mm,
Because there's a time I went to see someone in a public hospital. It was full of sick people.
mm,
So I was asking, has anybody in government asked why there are so many sick people in hospital?
mm,
Mm. Someone should have. Why are there people? Has somebody like created a pie chart of diseases? This disease, this percentage. Then we find out how can we prevent this from happening? Because for every person in hospital, those are man hours lost.
mm.
And when you are spending so much money on your on medicine, that is a loss to the economy. So this
It is.
mathematics is somebody looking at these figures, and you find a hospital public full of people, very many sick, and this is not an accident or anything, just people sick. Now to ask yourself, why are we having so many sick people?
Again, these are symptoms.
Hmm.
What are the underlying issues? What are the root causes
Is there
causing
something we are
this?
feeding on? Is this the water? Is it the food? Is it the lifestyle? Is it the working environment? What's
It's
happening?
all that. It's all that. If people have to just imagine if people have to wake up at 4 a.m. to make it to
Hmm.
their workplace at 8.
Hmm.
I mean, how much time are you sleeping? And you end up getting home so late. I remember when Thika Road was being built, because I used to go to USIU for my classes. And man,
Hmm.
you'd see people stuck in traffic
Hmm.
until so late. Mm. There were people who were saying, the kids would end up doing homework while still in the car. They'll end up having to get one of those quick dinners, either pizza, some fast food kind of a thing. Dinner will happen in the car. So such that by the time they get home, it's just going straight to bed and wake up the following day and do it all over again. So, what kind of quality of life are you living? The smog, the air quality. I mean, I can tell you whenever I come back home in Nairobi, you can feel the air quality almost instantaneously. And it's all about congestion. So really, the national government really should be looking at. I haven't heard of any policy around decongesting Nairobi. I haven't heard of any policy. I mean, there have been, we've spoken more times around should we consider moving probably some of the government services outside of Nairobi into other places to create other cities? Or, I mean, the intention is really to move people out of Nairobi because Nairobi has just been sort of everyone when they grow up, when they hit 18, the one place they all want to go is Nairobi.
To do
I
what
mean,
in Nairobi?
exactly. If the government can goal now, decongesting Nairobi and building up other cities. So how do we do
So,
it? Start talking of the industries. Let's move people. Let's consider moving some of the services outside of Nairobi. Say Nairobi will be financial center, make another place to
mm,
be the administrative center. Immediately, when you move a workforce like Ministry of Education to be in Kajiado, Machakos, or wherever. Just imagine that workforce. That workforce will require estates, shopping, all the amenities will follow. start moving people to those places. So those people will not
And
be
these are
waking up.
the, you see, this,
I'm driving to my workplace, which is just nearby.
this is what happens at the end of the day. You have so much to lose when you don't manufacture.
Yes,
If you don't
that's true.
manufacture, you are in so much trouble. You are in a lot, lot of trouble. So, and I don't know, whoever is in power, whoever is challenging who is in power, the narrative just looks the same. To just noise and more noise. It's like watching a bickering contest.
Yeah. No
You
one
just
is
bicker.
one has the courage and is ready
Mm,
to take a different approach,
mm.
ready to
No
confront,
tangible
someone.
solutions being
Yeah,
offered.
yeah,
Mm, mm. No one
man,
wants to. No one wants to say,
yeah,
let's build more factories in the rural areas so that we can decongest the city. Because how do you decongest the city without a plan? You tell people to remain at home. You're not going to set a curfew.
yeah.
That
This is
decongestion, it is a process. It's a process from grassroots. Where are the mass employers, the mass manufacturing units going to be placed?
yeah,
You place them in rural areas, that's an advantage because that's your home area. If
yeah,
you come from Kitui and you have a very huge factory in Kitui employing 800 people, somebody doing M-Pesa in Tomboya Street and home is Kitui, say, to hell with this M-Pesa one.
yeah,
Hmm. So I
and
think we really, it's a sad story.
yeah,
We've really missed the we've really missed the mark by far.
yes,
If this was a if this was a long range missile that was supposed to land in Nairobi, it has landed in Mogadishu. Totally off the mark. Yani, wrong coordinates, wrong everything. Yani, the firing solution was crafted while somebody was asleep or something. It's just
yeah,
the best you can do is just you as an individual find a way of being efficient as an individual. Because we've seen that whenever you try to set up this way of campaigning, people will fight against you. Oh, najifanya mjuaji, sijui nini, sukue MP basi. Just find a way of making a brand for yourself as the epitome of efficiency and
yeah.
let everything play as it is. But it is what it is.
It
We are
is what
part
it
of.
is. Yeah, I
Oh,
think
man, we said we have nothing to talk about. Ah, beautiful minds, beautiful minds,
and I was
beautiful minds.
about at some point I was thinking, okay, maybe I will introduce another topic. I think we discuss the past politics of the week. But we've started off talking about hard mentality, particularly when it comes to um, these popular holidays. We've transitioned into our transportation systems. We've transitioned in discussing some of the possible solutions that
And
Nairobi
we've
can bring.
gone from one point to another like a well functioning gearbox. Gear one, two, three, four.
Boom!
Wonderful. Hmm.
And this
Anyway,
thing is it's free flowing.
it's a free flow salad. You can give a shout out to our lone wolf audience here, the Sharif
Oh
Mustafa,
yes,
never
please.
present.
Mr. Sharif Mustafa, thank you as always for joining us. We appreciate your support, for always coming in and joining in this conversation, making
Mm.
your contribution. Man, it doesn't matter if we have an audience of one, the show has to go on.
Everything is transient, but the show is here
Everything
to
is
stay. Mm.
exactly, exactly.
So, we call it a wrap. Mungu mbele.
Mungu mwele. Enjoy your Easter. Boom.